welcome to Lathe and Loom podcast. My name is Cher, and this is a vlog about my knitting, spinning, dyeing, weaving journey through the fiber arts. Thanks so much for joining me today. This is going to be a little bit of a briefer episode. If you have watched my episode 13, which I believe will have released prior to this one, I kind of talk about how I had a whole bunch of things to share, and I thought that episode might get a little bit long. So I have culled these out, and this is really going to be more about inspiration and stash acquisitions. So if that's not your jam, I'll see you on the next more regular episode. But hopefully you'll join me and grab a cup of something, grab some knitting, and we'll talk a little bit about some things that I've got planned for future knits. So like most of you, if you're an avid knitter or crocheter, and if you use Ravelry, I realize not everyone does, that queue gets really long. You get a lot of things in your head. Every time a new designer comes out, I'm putting something else in there. So every now and then I have to go in and sort of clean out and really think about what I want to do. So sometimes it's a pattern that inspires me, and then sometimes it's a yarn that inspires me. So I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of those things today, and it was really interesting to me. So in episode 13 I talked about dyeing the avocado dye, and how once I saw the Cyclone Cardigan by Maed with a Smile, I like that yarn could be nothing else. And so I have a couple of stories like that today to share with you. But in episode 12, I listed a few. I really like to get a couple of summer tops knit up. And so I had listed a few patterns that I was looking at. I got a lot of feedback. There's a number of you looking to do the secret, I think it's the Secret Summer Crop by Jessie Maed Designs, a super popular pattern. A number of you said, oh, that's my cue, I want to do that too. So I'm kind of half thinking about maybe doing a knit along for that. If you would be interested in that, well, let me know in the comments below. That might be something that we can do. I apologize if you just heard the AAC kick on and off. It's in upper 90s, and I did turn it up, but it is going to probably come on a little bit because I'm in the upper room of the house, and it will get a little bit hot, and I just couldn't go completely without it. So I hope it's not too bad in the background if it kicks on, so apologies for that. Anyway, back to knitting. So one of the other things I was contemplating, and I've definitely decided to do, although it might be a later summer, early into fall knit, since we have pretty good weather well into the October-November period. I'm definitely going to do the Cumulus Tee by PetiteKnit. Number of you also said that this was one that you had been looking at. I think it's just a really classic tee that I think could really be versatile as a layering piece. It could wear it with, you know, another sweater or suit jacket over it, with slacks, with skirt. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to knit mine out of Cash Sock, which is a superwash merino cashmere nylon blend. And I happen to have this in a cone, so I will have to wind it off. Oh, sorry. Probably and hold it double. Just to have a really plain basic piece, and to try the pattern out. I've noticed that Knitting Traditions, she's just knit several of those Cumulus Tees, so I thought that was a really interesting inspiration point. I also have purchased, it's been a while, but probably back in the fall, quite a bit of Holst Garn Super Soft, and I think that would make a really nice Cumulus Tee also. So hopefully I'll have a couple of those, in the late summer into fall knits. But I did go on, and I don't really have pretty much all wool yarn. And so I went on to look for some more summer weight yarn, and I was on the Knitpicks website, and a number of patterns, and I think even a few of the podcasts that I watched had used the Knitpicks cotton. So this is the color Blackberry. I thought that was on the label. It's U077, but I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's on the front. The label is Blackberry. It's 50 grams in a skein. It was reasonably priced anyway, and it was down to like, I think it was less than $4 for a little skein. I purchased a pack of 10, thinking that gave me just options, and like, you know, why not to have, you know, 1 or 2 garments for, you know, about $30 is extremely reasonable in knitting prices. But I thought the color was really pretty, and I'll be looking to, again, to one of those summer tops that I talked about, to do something like that with this yarn. So as I was thinking about the summer tees, it occurred to me that when I first started knitting again a little bit, which was back in, I don't know, 2016-ish time frame, I had purchased some yarn, some summer yarn to do a tee. And I was not a good enough knitter. I got frustrated, probably also because I think it's a cotton yarn, cotton cashmere yarn that I was using, which I think is a little more difficult to knit with, in my opinion. But I had seen in this, it was an Interweave Knits magazine from summer of 2016, which is why I'm guessing that it's somewhere in that 2016-17. And they had a whole bunch of boho beach lace, and then they had this article, Mountain House Retreat collection. And in there I saw and was really kind of captivated, and I may have seen this on something else, I don't know, but I think I just saw it in the magazine. And this is the Pathway Tee. So it has this sort of lacy back, and I mean, it looks really simple, so I'm now wondering why I was having so much trouble with it. It'll be interesting to see if I'm any better now, all these years later. So what I had purchased it, and it says, the Pathway Tee is essentially 2 squares seamed with 2 openings for the armholes. The lace pattern on the back is easy to memorize, and the lacy back makes the tee an especially delightful addition to any summer wardrobe. Using different needle sizes for the front and back accommodates the drastically different gauges in stitch. Pattern is by Kirsten Singer, and this one is knit in Shibui Knits Twig. So I was a really new knitter, and the price of yarn like freaked me out then. I am a little bit more limited budget. So I actually was just in my local yarn store in Richmond, Virginia, and or one of the couple that we have there, and I was really just looking at what was on sale, and I wanted something summery, so they recommended, this is Barocco Corsica Sport, and it's 90% cotton, 10% cashmere. So I got several balls of that to knit this with, and when we moved, so it wasn't even down in my knitting, it's just something, as I was thinking about these summer knits, I'm like, you know, I had that tee I was gonna do, I wonder where that is, and I have a craft closet upstairs, which is where I podcast actually, and I had it just kind of all tucked in a bag, so I dragged that back out, and wouldn't it be nice to finish something that you started a long time ago. If I cast it on and decide I don't like it, I'm not sure I particularly like that lacy back now that I've looked at it again. But if not, I think it might make a nice, either a nice ranunculus or, gosh, one of these other many summer tees that I've talked about. And I also saw Nikki of Knitting with cat hair podcast on her episode that aired around the July 22nd-ish or so, had a tee on that was knit by her mother, called the Berry Picking Tee, which I thought was really, really pretty. So I'll pop a picture of that in here. That might be one that I might do with either that or the Cotton to see. I thought that had a nice knit to it. So those are kind of the things that I've planned in the more summery knits, mostly non-animal fiber yarn. But I am looking to, of course, this is my year of the cardigan, or the year of the sweater for knitting purposes. And having finished finished up the Victory cardigan, I knew I wanted to knit another one, incorporating some of the things that I thought I probably could have done better on the first one. I wanted to do a cast on one rather soon, so I kind of don't forget what I did or lose that momentum. That one was knit in Rama Vams, which is a beautiful wool, but a little bit on the pricey side to do several of them, or you kind of keep that more for special. So I again went to the KnitPicks website. You know, I just hear so many great things about the affordability of KnitPicks yarn. So what I have done is I've bought some wool of the Andes worsted. Again, I seem to have a color theme whenever I show you all. I did this in a different episode, and I think everything was burgundy. But this is 100% Peruvian Highland wool, so non-superwash. 110 yards and 50 grams, and this color is Claret Heather. I bought 13 balls of this. Again, it was reasonably priced anyway, and it was on sale for like a I think it was, if it was, might have been less than $3 a ball. Like, it was crazy. So compared to I think my other one was probably in the $90 range for the yarn. So the mid-30s is a great value, I think. So be really interested to see how that works up. And then I'll have a pretty purple cardigan, which is one of my favorite colors, as I think everything I've held up today is, and that's not going to change with the next one either. So the last thing I have, this is some yarn that I got in May of this year when we were at our beach vacation in Emerald Isle, and I had gone over to the Knit Nook yarn shop in Morehead City, and had a lovely, really quiet, like, shopping, knitting morning with the owner, Lisa, there. And I was ripping out my flax, as a matter of fact. I had started it and had to rip it out, so that was what I was doing. Anyway, so I was doing a little bit of yarn shopping while I was there. And I don't always shop the sale rack, if you will, but you know, I was looking around. She had a really nice little section of some sale yarns back there. And she had this Winterburn DK, and Baa Ram Ewe, is that the company? So it's made in the UK, 100% British, spun and dyed in Yorkshire. A blend of 50% Blueface Leicester, 25% Ecru Masham, and 25% dark brown Masham. Is that the case for both of these? Yes. And she had 2 different colorways. And I think these were like 50% off, so they're extremely reasonable. So the darker one is called Bishop Thorpe, and the lighter one is called Rhubarb. And I couldn't decide. There was 4 skeins of the Bishop Thorpe and 2 skeins of the raspberry. And so I actually settled on this one, and then Lisa was really kindly made this a deal I couldn't refuse, so thank you again, Lisa. So I think she was also looking to get it out of the shop. But so then I had these two colors, and I've been really struggling with like what to do. So as sometimes happens, sometimes the pattern comes first, sometimes the yarn comes first. And so I've had this 6 skeins of yarn on my mind, and I knew I'd have to pair it with something, and I didn't know what I was going to make with it. I thought about the Soldotna, but I've kind of decided that's not probably the best style for me, based on some comments of some folks. It's a beautiful pattern, looks great on a lot of people. I just think for my body type, probably not the best. And when I bought this yarn, I did also pick up a couple skeins of Interweave DK, which is a Feeder Brook Farm hand dyed 100% Blueface Leicester. This is the colorway Refraction, and this is similar to Spin Cycle, right, where it's got that very hand dye or hand spun. No two skeins are exactly alike look, and so I had that kind of and I had picked up last November a couple of other skeins of that same yarn in different colorways. So and then I had one of my hand done skeins. So I saw on Instagram, I believe it was the Easy V, which is a pullover by Caitlin Hunter. So this is Boyland Knitworks. And this was published in May of 2022. It's a worsted weight pattern. And her recommended yarns are Spin Cycle, Fibers Dream State, and Ritual Dyes Elder. So it uses that same kind of hand spun look. So I'll pop a photo in here. But I thought that's it, like that's the pattern. So I've grabbed those 3 colorways that I got in May, and then I thought, well, I'll also add in some combination, I'm not sure which, of my hand spun that I really like, that 3-ply that I did earlier this year, and a couple of the other Interweave DK. So I know it looks like a hot mess probably in this state, but you can kind of see together. I think when it's combined into this pattern, you need some that has a pop of color. So whether it's the yellow or the orange, pop, I'm not sure which, but I think that'll look really nice with it. And it'll also, 6 skeins was kind of cutting it close for me for a long sleeve oversized sweater. So it'll give me that extra yardage as well. So I'm super thrilled. So I've got that. There's so much of that. So I have that in my float tote, ready to cake up for one of my first winter sweaters. So I think that'll be a really fun knit. I encourage you to check out that pattern as well. And I'm super happy to have pattern and yarn combinations for several of the things that I have acquired recently. So that's really it I wanted to talk about today. A little different episode. Hopefully that's a little bit of knitting inspiration or yarn inspiration for you as well, or maybe it was just a few minutes to sit down and knit or have a cup of coffee or tea. So I really appreciate you joining me. I would love to hear if you will drop down the comment box. So I know some folks that's not as easy to get to, so you can't comment on the television, although you can like and subscribe, which I would be super appreciative of. But if you're on a mobile device, you hit the drop down, you can get my description. So I've always put show notes to everything that I talk about. And there's the comments. And if you click on one of the comments, the comment will come up. And if you're on a PC, it's similar, but I think it's actually a little easier to navigate on a PC or Mac laptop. So anyway, so I would love to hear what you're working on, and if any of these things are inspiring for you, or if you stuck with the summer knits. I started off looking for summer knit and found some winter knits instead. But you know, I think we just take inspiration where it comes to us, right? So anyway, appreciate you joining me. Thank you so much. Happy knitting, spinning, dyeing, and weaving, everyone.